What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Review for The Witch and the Beast. This is episode 5, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is that this association you know is harboring a witch this entire time, and of course, not sure if if Asaf knows that, but I'm pretty sure doesn't even know that either.
No. Um, I mean, that was, I guess, that was a pretty surprising reveal, but Fenora was a character that was also kind of suspicious to begin with how she knew about all this stuff about necromancy, and she had she has it looks like unnaturally pale skin, and her breath is white in the air. There were things that kind of made you wonder if she was actually like a human or not.
I mean, I could, I mean, I've already automatically assumed that she was a necromancer of sorts,
Well, yeah.
due to her knowledge of being a necromancer. But for her to be being an actual witch is another story entirely. Because I thought that the association would be going around like hunting and apprehending these witches, but apparently they're having an actual witch work alongside them.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's also a lot we don't really know about the association. We've only been told some things about them, but we don't like we've only seen Ashef and Gudo, and then Johan and Fenora. Those are the only members of the association we've really seen so far, and we don't really know much else about how it works, or other than what Ashef has said. So there probably is like a lot of things that are going to be revealed, I guess, later about the association, and there's probably like a lot of secrets the association has. Maybe for whatever reason, it does have witches working for them that they know about or they don't know about. We're not really sure right now because they really haven't said too much about how the association works.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so the episode, of course, starts off immediately after the last episode, in which, well, whatever happened to Johan, he got his throat slit by one of the necromancer's undead. So Fenora gets invited by this necromancer, uh, well, for mainly for obsessive reasons, because this necromancer wants to revive his dead wife, but he can't do it because his wife is, his wife's physical body is burned to a crisp, and of course, de- um, it decayed to the point where her entire body's just a skeleton now. So
Mm.
there's no way for him to really, um, yeah. Well, there's no way for this necromancer to bring his wife back unless he got another person's body to, insert her soul into her body. So that's
Yeah,
why he invited Fenora over.
and I mean it would also explain why all the undead he has around his mansion have red hair like his wife.
Yeah, but of course, with Fenora being the exception due to her, being a blonde. But of course, even with all the other undead women that this necromancer's revived, like he's taken like a particular interest in Fenora, despite her, you know, physical, differences.
Yeah. Um, Possibly I'm guessing maybe because he recognizes that Fedora is like maybe because like a necromancer like him. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so they're basically like most of the episode is them kind of talking about like him talk basically giving his motivations for what he's doing. Um, and Fenora basically trying to uh, just sort of like essentially telling him that what or well pretty much like interrogating him, I guess. um and The police officer trying basically like finding out that apparently, like as Fenora explained in the episode, that if the undead don't actually go to the afterlife, that they're basically pulled from the cycle of death, or well going they're pulled from the cycle of, I guess, birth and rebirth or something, and that once you become an undead, you can't go to heaven or hell. You basically are stuck in some kind of a limbo called the void.
Yeah, and this of course upsets the officer due to the fact that his wife has been brought back from the dead without his consent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So yeah. So as soon as this necromancer is about to move forward with his plans, Fenora, of course, decides to fully reveal herself as a witch, which of course takes the necromancer and the officer by surprise. And it's obvious like how powerful she is due to the fact that she's able to just basically just like just destroy several undead just by by a simple touch.
Well, also the necromancer reveals that apparently he's created an army of just of basically like walking zombies, I guess, that he uses as some kind of like self defense. Um, but then right after he reveals this, like Venora also reveals that she, I guess, has her own undead that she can directly command. Um, so basically, there's like a fight that ensues with both of these, like Fenora's undead and then the necromancers, which the uh Fenora's undead soldiers basically make quick work of all the undead that they're under the necromancer's control. Of course, including the police officer's wife, who ends up getting beheaded.
Yeah, and of course, the officer, once again grieves over his wife's dead body again. But Fonora, of course, decides to. Well, actually, no. Before this, the necromancer starts running away to his wife's corpse or whatever remains of his wife.
Yeah, he
Then all of
basically
a
like has
sudden,
a shrine to his dead wife.
yeah, and then all of a sudden, Johann just appears out of nowhere, seemingly like, well, he's still bloody, but he's seemingly like he's still alive for whatever reason until he reveals that he's been undead this entire time. But he's
Mm.
not like just any regular undead. He's like a special kind of undead, revived by a witch.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, I guess Fenora and him have some kind of a contract, which is why he serves under her. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, he basically ends up just uh, he's just like beating the necromancer to a pulp. Uh, and he gets pretty like yeah he gets just like he looks pretty bad by once he's finished with
I
him.
mean, I
Uh,
wouldn't say he beat him to a pulp. He
well,
just literally just carved the guy's face off.
oh yeah, well yeah, well yeah that and he also like yeah he gets his face carved off and well as we find out later he gets killed and also brought back from as an undead to serve Fenora. Um, this is also something that I felt like I think they did an okay job of this in the anime, but of course like if you read this part in the manga, it's just it's a lot more detailed and a lot more brutal with what happens to the necromancer. Like you said, yeah, he gets his face carved off, uh, and yeah, I also remember like yeah, he gets just kind of beaten pretty bad. I think Fenora kind of takes out some of her like I guess anger on him and beats him up and just like brings him back from the dead.
Yeah.
And then later like yeah he just like he ends up like after she brings it back from the dead just ends up like digging or I guess digging her claws into his into his head and just like just basically just tormenting him. But I mean it's pretty much what he deserves though for everything he's done. Of course
Yeah.
after he's brought back he's just kind of lamenting the fact that he won't be able to go like he won't really go to the afterlife. But I mean if we're assuming that a heaven and hell even exists, then I mean he would definitely be going to hell anyway. So, but he's not really going to go to the afterlife. He's just going to go where all the other undead go, which is the void.
Yeah, and of course, as for the officer, he's like Fenora. Of course, I'm not sure if it's either a deal or a blackmail, but she wants to cover this whole incident up. Due to the fact that not only did she reveal herself as a witch, but she doesn't want this whole incident like being revealed to the public. So she makes a
Yeah.
deal with him, apparently just of wanting to revive his wife. Uh, I guess in a more suitable manner than when she was prior.
Well, and it's also not just like a verbal agreement that they make. I guess it's like an agreement that he actually has to like consent to or like sign or something like that. So then that way he actually like I guess cannot tell anybody about what happened.
No, so yeah, he I would say like almost like a bound in blood type of deal.
Yeah. Yeah. So like yeah he can't
But yeah,
betray
I
her.
thought this was an interesting episode.
Hmm.
Definitely something that I didn't see coming in terms of Fenora revealing herself as a witch, which also puts another twist with the whole thing about what the association really is and how they operate,
Yeah,
and of course, and not to mention that Guido not even um, has no knowledge of any of this. If she knew what Fenora was, I mean, she wouldn't hesitate to go, just go charging in after Fenora because like she's not the type like to ask questions first, and.
yeah, but we also have to remember about Gyudo that she's specifically after one particular witch, is the which is the one that cursed her. Although, like, yeah, it seems like she pretty much wants to kill the other witches as well. Um, so yeah, she probably. I mean, I'm sure this is probably something that will most likely come up later in the story. Like, I'm guessing that maybe they will eventually find out that Fenora is a witch, and there'll probably be some kind of conflict there. But I guess we'll see. I mean, this episode is pretty much the end of this. I guess you would say like the Necromancer arc. And then after this, we are going to go back to Yudo and Ashap. Um, and I mean, the next arc, I think it's going to reveal another organization that was referenced earlier, which I think was the Paladin Corps. They're going to play a bigger role pretty soon. So I'm curious as to how they're going to adapt that one. That is a little bit of a longer arc in comparison to this one. This one was only like 2 episodes. Uh, I think it's the next arc that's coming up, but that one's going to be a little bit longer. That probably, if I could guess, would last like 3 to 4 episodes or something. So I'm interested in how they're going to adapt that one. That one also is. I mean, we did kind of get a taste, I guess, of how they adapt some of the action scenes in this, which it wasn't bad, like for the kind of animation studio they are. But I am curious as to how they're going to handle like some of the bigger fight scenes that are coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, overall, I thought this was I think it's one of the better episodes and more interesting in comparison to the what was it the witch serial killer arc that we saw a few weeks prior. But yeah, this
Yeah,
this was an interesting arc, introducing us to a couple new characters, and of course, the big twist about Fenora being a witch, working with working with this organization that's
mm,
supposedly hunting other witches.
yeah. I mean, it definitely brings up a lot of questions about the organization. But yeah, so I mean, I also like this episode. I thought this was one of the better arcs in the series of like the short story arcs they've had so far. Um, but the next one, in my opinion, I think is going to be a lot more interesting. This one was pretty good, but it was also shorter. The next one's going to be a little bit longer, and I think, in my opinion, like I said, it's a more interesting story arc. Um, but like I said, I'm also curious to see how this studio is going to adapt it. But yeah, guys, that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.